purpose-built for premium cannabis. The M Plus is one of the most efficient trimming systems we've ever created. The M Plus automated trimming system combines the unmatched trimming quality of our industry-leading Model M with the metered feeding of our Rise conveyor. Made with 316 surgical-grade stainless steel and high-density polyethylene, the M Plus is wash-down ready and can be fully cleaned in as little as 30 minutes. The hopper's 15-pound capacity and variable speed feeding into the trimming chamber takes the efficiency of your system to the next level. Trim up to 30 pounds of dried flower per hour with the M Plus. The patented gentle rolling blades of the M Plus mimic the motion and cutting action of scissors to help you retain the natural shape and structure of your cannabis while keeping valuable trichomes intact. The M Plus is manufactured in the USA and is backed by our industry-leading 3-year warranty. To learn more about the M Plus or any of our other machines, visit GreenBroz.com. Financing options available.
What is happening, everybody? Welcome to yet another Green Bros webinar. I am your host, Lance Lambert, and looking forward to jumping right in it here. First off, thank you for joining us. This is another great episode where we're going to be actually covering the M Plus digital demo here, and I'm excited about it. We have a few of our teammates that are going to be joining us, but wanted to first mention a promo. You saw some of the videos and such there. We are having currently a promo for this month. It's 10% off of all systems that include a Rise conveyor. So anything you purchase that includes a Rise conveyor is going to have an additional 10% off. If you have any questions on that, feel free to reach out to our territory managers, which you will see pitching up. Another good housekeeping right there in the chat. We have Lisa, we have Luke. I know we also have Emily, as well as Tim. So we have all kinds of our teammates that are standing by, able to answer your questions. So that is our housekeeping. Feel free, you can put your questions in chat. You can also put your questions under the Q&A tab if you like, just to the right of that. We also have handouts if you would like more information in digital form on the M Plus. That's available under the handouts tab. So would love to jump in right now and first introduce a few of our guests. The first being Kevin Bauer. Kevin is our head of engineering, an absolute rock star. He is currently at our headquarters in beautiful North Las Vegas, enjoying that nice weather. Welcome, Kevin. Glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. We also have coming remote because, you know, time doesn't stop for things like this. Sales are always selling. We have Mr. Jack Fondale, who is calling in remote from a facility in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. Welcome, Jack.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Glad to make it out and you know, doing a little remote style, but it's going well.
Yeah, no kidding. I know you're down there actually presenting the M Plus to one of our clients, so that is awesome to hear. And I'm sure we'll get into that in a little bit. So without further ado, we're going to jump into a prezzo and share a bit of information on our discussion today around the M Plus. So this is something, again, you know, we're really excited with regard to everything we manufacture. Kind of a mantra that we have is always keeping your eyes on the bud, right? So always keeping your eyes on the flower, because that is the most important thing at the end of the day. Given a little bit of background about Green Bros, we were established in 2012. Hard to believe it's already been a decade. Time flies, not just in this industry, but amidst a pandemic. The last few years have been a blur for many of us, but it's already been 10 years. we specialize in cannabis processing systems, cannabis first and foremost, not that we don't have an interest in hemp, but we always have been passionate about the plant that we grew up and are so familiar with. So we prioritize things around maintaining the quality, consistency, and potency of that plant. And that's everything that our machines have a focus on. It's the highest quality standards. Not only are we manufactured in America, but we're actually conceptualized, designed, engineered, and R&D'd in the US, as well as manufactured and distributed from here. So very proud to be supporting that. So I want to jump in. I want to get you on this, Kevin, and kind of take more of a moderator seat. We know some of the problems that our clients face, but if you could talk through some of the things on this slide in specific that you and the engineering team looked into when designing the solution.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the M Plus in general, we wanted to use our Model M trimmer, which, has been proven and shown that it's one of the best trimmers on the market. And we really wanted to just basically introduce automation to it. The automation is kind of where this industry is headed. And so we wanted to get going on that and start developing some machines that can help with the automation. So basically, we were able to automate the two processes that require human input, which is the feeding and then the emptying of the machine. So by automating those, we're able to really basically run that machine almost constantly, and we're able to remove a lot of the human input that sometimes can be take some time and
that quality, right? Because that's one thing. I know this is something that came into fruition. I know we don't like to talk about it. We're moved on from it, but the pandemic, I know this is one thing that really came front and center, and Jack, you can probably speak to this, where individuals are starting to say, hey, we don't want to have our hands on the plant. We don't know what's going on. We want to try to be as hands-off as possible while still having our eyes on the product. So those touch points, like you're saying, right? The loading, the unloading, but the actual trimming. And you heard a bit of this as far as feedback, Jack, over the last few years, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's huge, especially, right now in the industry, just reducing the touch point of the plant, transferring, between people, different positions in the post-harvest process. With that as well, it's labor and finding employees right now is difficult, and everybody's dealing with it, and definitely in the cannabis industry. So having continuous flow between those different stages in that post-harvest process is huge. Like you're saying, reducing that cross-contamination, human touch point, and then with the labor shortages as well.
Yeah. And that's something that, again, I know this as far as standardization, that's another thing. And you're working with several MSOs or multi-state operators, right, Jack, where they want that continuity, that consistency, and that quality to be maintained. So they're establishing these SOPs, right, where they're applying in every facility.
Yeah, it's a big thing. I mean, creating standardization across every cultivation facility, if you're an MSO across the country, being able to produce the same outcome at each facility is huge. You want consistency across the board.
Yeah, that's one thing that we talk about, standardization and why it matters. So of course, cost reduction, like Jack, huge emphasis on production efficiency, establishing and strengthening of the brand, convenience for consumers, standard of quality. Obviously, we called out some pretty typical ones here. Starbucks, a lot of people don't admit them being the best coffee, but they are the most consistent day in and day out, no matter where you go, not just in the country, in the world. McDonald's being fairly succinct with that too. So again, that's, I know, what we've been hearing feedback from as far as working with our clients. But getting into kind of some of the nuts and bolts. So again, I want to turn to you, Kevin, and I know there's some, as we call it in marketing, the features, advantages, and benefits of this system and of bringing these two solutions together. Maybe if we could kind of walk through some of those elements that really make this solution stand out from just a Model M or what competitors have to offer for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically there are about four major differences between this and kind of our standard trimmer. So, I touched on the fact that we wanted to automate the feeding of the trimmer. That's done with the rise conveyor, and the rise conveyor was designed in-house from the ground up for cannabis. It was designed with cannabis in mind, and it's very good at minimizing the amount of trim produced, and it's really gentle. So we're using our rise conveyor to feed the trimmer, and you basically are able to hook the two control boxes together, and the Model M control box takes control of the rise conveyor. You can control both machines from one box, which is kind of nice. The other aspect that we needed to automate was the door, which was a huge challenge. We went through a lot of different designs on that one because it's such a small space, and it's got to be washed down, and it's got to break down so that you can easily clean it. And so we were able to do that. We have some tiny little motors that are wash down ready, which are great, and the doors come out really easily without tools for cleaning, which is really, really great. And and then they're controlled with the control box, which we have a new side mount control box, which makes it a little easier. If you wanted to link up multiple machines, you could, because they're all facing out. And then in that control box, we have programmable recipes too now, which, going back to that point of the consistency, is key. Because if you have the same strain or the same product that you're running over and over again, you can then save all of those custom recipes for each individual strain, and so you can call those back up anytime, and they'll always be the same, and they're editable as well.
Nice. And you're right, that is a factor, because we know while some of our clients like to keep up on the what I call the trendy triangle strains, those latest cultivars, dessert cultivars or strains, if you will, we know a lot of them have those tried and true, right? That they run through the machine season in, season out. And I know, Jack, we've talked about this, where they just want that consistency. If it's their Skittles, they want to make sure that they're spot on every time. They know how much biomass is going to come off of that bud, how long it needs to run, at what speed it needs to run through at. So very cool. Now, I like what you talked about. So you mentioned something I think for us to touch on, Kevin, is that it's configurable, right? So it's not just this one setup. You can actually have multiple M's that feed into another rise conveyor that goes to your sorter, kind of like the N-line system, correct?
Exactly, yeah. And additionally, the you'll see the lid has a new hopper on it. That means, and it can be fed from the back, like you're seeing here in the image, but it can also be fed from the side too, which is nice. It gives you a lot more configurability based on what kind of layout you have and space requirements and all that.
And something to add just to our viewers, potential and existing customers and clients, Kevin is one of several that's on the team. We're here to help if you have some needs when it comes to designing your layout of your space. That's something I know, Jack, you're having conversations again with your client on site out there. These are very configurable to Kevin's point. So if you have an L-shaped space to work with or a T-shaped space to work with, chances are we can get the equipment configured to make that space maximized as much as possible, as opposed to having to have just a square box or a rectangular box to work with. So another great thing to touch on. So very cool. Well, let's see if we move on to the next here. Kind of just comparing, right? The one thing we talked about, I know we referenced McDonald's before. We love using that analogy that everyone noticed that they started with 2 lines going through the drive-through, but they didn't decrease their head count. If anything, they reallocated the head count, right? So taking people from making the drinks to taking additional orders or making additional food. So again, maybe, Jack, if you can explain, because I know this is a conversation you have as a consultant on the front line with some of our clients, kind of what the difference is and what you can do with that head count, not to minimize it, but to reallocate it, right?
Yeah, no, it's huge being able to, almost divide and conquer. Utilizing just the standard Model M, you're kind of there and you're operating the machine. You're still using it as if it was a tool, working with it. The M Plus is amazing because you just infeed, the hopper with your flour. You set your recipe on there and it just repeats it every single time. Yeah. So you're now almost monitoring how that machine's running. And then, you're going about and doing other portions in that process. You could be there, bagging, labeling, doing any QC checks, but you have just that freed up time because that machine's just going to continue to do its job, infeed it, trim it, unload it, and continue to do the same repeatable process. So, it's huge to be able to not necessarily worry as much about running that machine and being able to be freed up and go about and hit some of those portions of the business that you can work on and use while it's just being trimmed. So definitely way more efficient in your just day-to-day operation.
For sure. And I know the standardization, like you touched on, that's exactly these people moving more to a QA, QC, or to other aspects of the process to increase that efficiency. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's some of the points. And again, we kind of talk about the FABs. So maybe if you kind of want to break these down, I know they oftentimes come up in conversations when consulting as well.
So just the futures, advantages, benefits, as Lance always says. It's the same Model M trimmer. It's the same blade design. It's going to use the same SOP development if you already have it in Model M. All we're doing is adding automation to it and making it repeatable every single time. So a huge advantage of, just continuous in-feed, efficiency with that, but keeping the same, you can see in this presentation, the same trim quality as our standard Model M, but we're making it more efficient, more repeatable, and to just really reduce any of that, haziness going in, with different employees. It'll be something that they can just hit a recipe, let it do its job, and you're going to retain the same high quality, finish as a standard Model M.
Definitely. And to your point with this image, that image always just blows my mind because, like you're saying, Jack, I mean, it's, some of those solutions out there, we understand that some people, all they care about is throughput. Like they just want to get it through as quick as possible, but sacrificing the quality, the consistency, the potency. I mean, that's the one thing that always took me back with our solutions is we aren't pumping out golf balls or pine cones or Christmas trees or nothing symmetrical in Mother Nature, and nor should it be forced into that format. But keeping that quality via potency on the bud. I mean, that image just always, like I said, just always blows my mind on how close it does come to that hand manicured, hand trimmed. So yeah, awesome stuff. Well, I know we did a demo, and I think we recorded this a little bit earlier this week with both you and Emily. So I think it'd be cool for us to jump into that and take a look at it, and then maybe have a little conversation around it as well.
Definitely.
Perfect.
Hi guys, I'm Emily. I'm here at the GreenBroz headquarters in North Las Vegas, and we're excited today to share with you our next level automation, our M Plus trimming system. I have Jack Fondale here with me today.
How's it going, guys? I'm the Southwest Territory Manager for GreenBroz, and excited to have you all on board on this webinar.
Jack's going to take you through the M Plus system today and show you the features and benefits and how it works.
So this home screen is a little different than our standard Model M. You have the rise conveyor control on this, the automation control on this, and the trimmer settings on this. So first off, we have a pre-programmed recipe in here. So we're going to click Start Trimming. This is going to bring us to a home screen. Now, everything is on standby mode. So to start the trimmer, we're simply just going to press Start. As you can see, the rise conveyor is going to start filling the trimmer. It's going to go through its full load cycle. The blade is already running, so your flower is going to immediately start to get trimmed. This machine is set for 3 minutes right now. After 3 minutes, there's going to be an unload cycle, and the blades will go forward, backwards. The doors will automatically open up, empty out the flower, doors will close, continues filling, and so on. All right, so now I'm going to show you guys how to set up the trimmer for the rise conveyor filling, the trimming speed, the time, and the unload cycle. So right here, this is how fast our rise conveyor is going to fill the trimmer. We're set at 50%. That's 50% speed. We're going to press enter. Now, the rise conveyor is going to run for 10 seconds. So that is going to fill for 10 seconds, and you can adjust this for, different size bud, whatever you need to hit that 2.5 pound weight inside the trimmer. Next, trim time. It's in seconds, so we're going for 3 minutes, 180 seconds. Trim speed, we're at 25% blade speed. That's how you're dialing in, the function. Here's your unload settings. So the blade's gonna go forward and reverse to unload the flower. We have 2 forward settings and 2 reverse settings. Each are set at 50% for 5 seconds. These are all adjustable. So if we wanna go, now it's gonna go forward for 10 seconds. We'll take that back down to 5. And you would adjust those accordingly for each setting. We'll go back to home, start trimming. All those settings are now stored in our recipe, and we start. You can see after every cycle, it's just gonna kick on again, fill the machine, trimmer's gonna start, repeat, and it's gonna give you the same trim style every single time. So I wanna go over a few of the benefits of using the M+ system. So having full automation gives you the ability to have repeated, consistent results, day to day, strain to strain. Everything is repeatable and can scale and grow as you grow as a company. The biggest advantage of this is it uses the same technology as our Model M. So your trim and everything that you get out of a Model M is the same as this system. All we're doing is now automating it, repeating it, and making it consistent.
One thing I'd like to highlight is, as with all of our machines, they're all made from 316 surgical and food grade stainless steel, so they're very easy to clean. Jack, can you discuss cleaning options really quickly?
So this machine utilizes the same cleaning technology as the Model M. Anything that touches cannabis is removable from the machine. Both blades, the barrel, doors, everything is removed to clean. The motor is IP66, meaning that it's power washable and can hold up against soap. The entire machine, like anything that GreenBroz produces, is all 316 surgical stainless steel. It's the highest grade stainless steel out. It's everything that lab equipment, surgical equipment, everything is made out of 316 surgical stainless steel, meaning these things are all easy to decontaminate and clean and ready for your next strain.
And I'd like to add that we do have cleaning videos on our website, but we can also send them to any of you who are interested in seeing those.
24th and 25th, we're inviting anybody that's interested to see a live demo here of the Rise and Sort, of the Model M Plus, and the N-Line system. All of those are going to be available to come out and check out.
All right, guys, thanks for letting us show you the M+ system here at GreenBroz headquarters. Now back to you, Lance.
All right. Thank you. My gosh. So very cool stuff. And again, obviously we pre-recorded that, Jack, but it's cool to see, man. I mean, this is awesome to see what is capable. And one thing we mixed in there really quick was our how to cleaning video. So just on a side note, I know several people in the comments, they have existing M's or they're looking at M's. We have all kinds of collateral. But we also have how-to videos that you can find on our site or via YouTube on how to clean, fly-throughs to get more insight on these machines and equipment. So definitely feel free to tune into that. We definitely appreciate, you checking that out and looking it over. So kind of want to get into some just additional speaking points here. So, Jack, you mentioned repeatability. Can you kind of expand on that a little bit? We kind of talked about that, but what are you seeing real world as far as the repeatability being applied?
Yeah, so I mean, repeatability really comes into having that machine do the same trim style every single time. It could be, you're getting through a harvest, and you're not hitting, all that trim done in one day. Maybe it takes 2 days, but that second day, if you come in and you click that recipe, it's going to do the same thing that it did, the day before. And then, like we were saying, just with turnover in the industry or, labor, being kind of scarce right now, having something that is going to do the same trim quality day in and day out, regardless of who's in the facility, who left the facility, it's huge. Just being able to, give your dispensaries the same high quality product every time, without having to really worry about, who's running the machine.
Yeah. And so another thing, maybe if you can talk about this, and this is something that came up, we did a tour visiting our friends up at Cookies, one of our R&D partners, and a friend wanted to hear more about the Model M. I told him what the price was, and he said, oh, that's about 140 hours of hand trimming cost that I'm paying. And so if you can kind of talk to how the machine pays dividends in the long run, because I don't know if everyone thinks the way like he did as far as an investment versus cost.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we're increasing your trim time. We're getting products on shelves faster than we would, if we were doing everything by hand. So the ROIs in the cannabis industry, just based off of labor savings, are insane. I mean, you can turn one of these on and, maybe 3 or 4 harvests. It's completely paid for. And then all that savings now that you just had with reducing, some unneeded labor costs, just with having to transfer, products, you're just paying for the machine just in that. And then you're actually, earning money on the machine, because now you're taking all that savings with reducing that labor and putting it right back in the company. Maybe it's new lights or, a new grow room. All that is benefited by, machines and automation.
Definitely. And we keep talking about scalability. So you get the M Plus. Again, we saw those that saw our commercials previous to kicking off the webinar. We also showed the N line, which I love. And that's another thing that can be kind of customized to an extent too. Is there anything stopping someone from scaling up with our systems from a modular to a full system standpoint like that with this?
No, I mean, it is, it's something that, we can hit what your throughput need is. These machines are all modular. They're all have the ability to scale. I'm actually down here in Arizona right now, helping train and set up, an inline system, but we actually have 2 M pluses, feeding a 1 rice conveyor. So, that was their need. They needed to have that ability to run more product. And, we have full capabilities, and, Kevin is a rock star and can, help design and lay out, whatever really, we need to put into a facility.
Nice. And I think the last thing, and this does kind of bounce back to Kevin. So I know our focus first and foremost is solving the problem for these customers, Kevin. And I know it's obviously building things to last. I've heard, again, people back up in NorCal reference our machines as the Toyotas of the industry. How much relevance does that reliability and continuity in the quality of the machines come into play when designing and engineering these solutions?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it's one of the most critical, aspects of the design. I think when we look at designing a new machine or developing something, pretty much the number one thing is cleanability. But then right after that, it's going to be durability and repeatability, because we really want it to last long, and we don't want any components to be failing or anything like that. So we design everything with a pretty high safety factor to make sure that everything works as well as it should.
Awesome. And I believe we have a video, but Jack, you talked about it, and Kevin, you've mentioned before, like when you guys say wash down ready, like literally, like you can take a pressure washer up to 180 degrees temperature, as I understand, to be able to clean these machines, correct?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you could just roll them out, take all the parts out of it, and just, hit it with a pressure washer right away. Just take the electrical box off. Make sure you take the electrical box off. And hit it with the pressure washer, and maybe a little ISO spray, and you're right back up and running. So huge advantage being able to do that.
Awesome, very cool. Any other points as far as kind of talking on some of the benefits or feedback that you've heard from out in the field, Jack? Like, what has the response been based on what their current state versus future state with utilizing this equipment? What is some of that feedback that you've heard?
Just everybody just kind of going, oh, so I don't need to sit here and work with a machine. I mean, that was probably the biggest one, especially hearing it, just down here right now. But everybody realizes that, they can actually go and do other portions of their job. This is just based off of employees' feedback. They're not sitting there having to work with the machine. They're letting the machine do the job, trusting the machine. Let it feed, let it trim, and trust that it's going to get the job done. Just based off of, an ownership level, these companies, they're looking at this and they go, okay, so we can get the same high quality, result, but now all we have to do is just add more of this automation onto this system. As we grow equipment to this system, make it, more of a high throughput machine, and it's going to grow with us and be able to repeat, every single time. It's we've been harping on this whole webinar, but repeatability and consistency is the biggest advantage of these automated systems.
Definitely. Cool, guys. Well, I definitely appreciate it. I want to get into some Q&A because I see some great questions coming up here in the feed. Let me see if I jump back. Melissa Lima, great to hear from you from HMT. You're awesome. She has a question. How many programmable recipes can it have? Is there a limit, Kevin?
There is no limit. No. Honestly, you can create really as many as you need. There's really no limit. I mean, the memory of the board is pretty high, so I don't think we'd even get close to it. You can make as many as you need.
Awesome.
Yeah, one of the things I was telling them here is like, hey, you can have this recipe, and then you have the same recipe, but with less time. So we can have a Bubba Kush for 50% trim. That could be one of your recipes. You can really customize whatever you want, and then you just click the button, and it's very, very simple.
Nice. Another one that came across, and Lisa, you're a rock star. She's always on top of these. But to share with the rest of the audience, there was a question about if I currently have an M, am I able to upgrade it to an M+?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very easy to upgrade. It's just a couple of components and very easily done.
Awesome. Another one, shout out to Michael Rossley. This is a great guy from South Africa, based out of Johannesburg. And so he's asking, out there, the average per hour on trim cost is about 25 Rand, as it's called. So he's asking, how that compares to US. So in the US, it's interesting, Michael. Traditionally, the cost per hour for manual trim has been between 125 and 150. It did drop, it dipped a bit, as did the wholesale cost per pound, at least on the West Coast, which that did kind of reverberate across the country. We did see hand trimming rates go as low as 80 to 100 this past season. But typically, from what I hear, for high quality trimmers that can do 2 to 3 pounds per day, which is kind of crazy to say, right, guys? Because we're talking about a machine that can do 10x that in an hour. But that's really what you're looking at. So if you're looking at an individual, again, that you're paying, I'm sorry, not an hour, per pound, $80 to $100 per pound, and it was about 125 to 150 per pound. So if you have someone doing 2 to 3 pounds per day, obviously that's anywhere from $200 to $300 per day. So you do an amortization off of that on the cost of the machine. Obviously a good exercise that'd be beneficial. Cleaning is a breeze. Yeah, I have to agree with Lisa on that one. That's one thing, again, if you all get a chance to check out the videos that we have hosted online. There's a great Nick, who is our head of customer service, great guy. He goes through and shows exactly, I mean, it's literally, it's like IKEA instructions. There's no audio needed. You literally can see how easy it is for him to dismantle and reassemble the machine in as little as 30 minutes for a full clean down. With that, I will say any additional input or comments that you want to share, Jack or Kevin, just on specifically the M+.
I think we may have covered it all. If anybody has questions, I mean, reach out to your territory manager. They'll be happy to answer everything. But last thing I kind of want to bring up, if you are interested in seeing a demo of these systems, the M+, the N-Line, the Rise and Grind, we are doing that February 24th and 25th demo days. So great opportunity to get your eyes in front of it, see how the whole operation, works. And maybe, you could let us know, what maybe some size requirements will be. Do we have to do any custom work? Any of that. So if you're interested, please let us know. Be happy to have you out to Las Vegas.
That's a great point, Jack. So for those, again, that's open house. Jack is going to be our host of that. That's going to be next Thursday, Friday, I believe, 24th, 25th, correct?
Correct.
And then we are looking to do even larger open house for our customers in April. So one in spring, obviously plants will be in the ground. We know it's a little more convenient for those that are amidst prepping for their crops right now. So that's another one. Keep an eye out on the information and updates there. But you can come out anytime. That's one thing that again, Jack, although you're not the only one, but you're the one on screen, so I'll keep calling you out. Jack is our Southwest rep, and technically Nevada is a part of his territory. So oftentimes he is at home base. So if you happen to be in Vegas for meetings, for other events and functions, as you all probably know, there's anywhere from 4 to 6 conventions and expos in the cannabis industry, MJ Biz being the largest out there. Our doors are always open, and the neat thing about us and our facility is we're not a 3PL. We're not just a warehouse that's bringing in product from offshore or from other parts of the world. Like literally, you can see our engineering, our production, our packaging, logistics, all of that right there at the facility. It's a 50,000 square foot operation. 5,000 square feet of that is dedicated to showroom. So you can see all of this equipment that Jack mentioned, from the new Model G to the Rise and Sort, the Rise and Trim, Rise and Grind, full inline system, maybe even a sneak peek at a few things that Kevin's had up his sleeve with his team that's going to be debuting here in the next several months. But feel free to reach out. You can always contact us, info@GreenBroz.com, or hit us via the contact button on the homepage. Do we have a leasing program? Great question, Doc. So that is something that under Friend DA here, that's something that's in the immediate horizon, I'd say. We have a lot of clients that, it's a challenge in this industry, what you can and can't write down, #thanks 280E. So there are some clients that, just like with your car, you want to keep up on the latest equipment, so they're rather a leasing program or option versus an ownership option. So that's something that's coming. We also have an agreement with a company as far as terms go. So again, if you need to be on some sort of payment program or payment process as opposed to a lump sum purchase, that's something that Lisa, Jack, Tim, Brian, everyone on our team as far as territory managers can walk you through as well. So we can definitely give you more insight and details there. I want to thank both of you. Kevin, for taking the time out, 'cause you're always busy, man. Stoked that you're actually out in Vegas. Jack, thank you for taking a break from being on site out there in Arizona. It's definitely a pleasure having both of you on. Again, if anyone out there, if you guys have additional questions, comments, or feedback, feel free to hit us up. Our social media handles, GreenBroz, or you can reach us either at sales or info@GreenBroz.com. Thank you all again for joining us. We appreciate it. Until next month, we will see you then. And thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.